Believe it or not, from time to time, I do find it helpful to listen to dedicated Marxists, if for only one reason. They help me to remember how ridiculous and naive one can sound when they are completely immersed in ideological jargon. And this is a mistake that any of us, regardless of our worldview, can make, but I truly am appreciative of the dedicated Marxists for being kind enough to remind me from time to time that I need to avoid this pitfall. It's an easy mistake to make because ideological lenses are actually incredibly valuable. Much of what we have achieved in the modern world has come through our ability to close one eye and focus the other one through a particular lens, a particular way to view the world. By closing off a portion of our understanding and focusing all of our attention through one particular set of ideas, we can focus our rational faculties on one particular type of problem. Many of our advances in things like science come from exactly this kind of process. We have people who become particular experts in very, very concentrated fields, very narrow fields in which they can master the knowledge. They might not be very good at fixing a car or building a house or even cleaning up after themselves. If you've met these kind of people, that's often the case, but they are very, very good at solving a very particular type of problem by making sure that they train their brain to only think a particular way. And of course, this isn't only tied to politics or religion or science. We can see this with almost every discipline in modernity. We can see this with the focus on capitalism and markets. We can see this with economists and how they believe that everything is definable through economics, everything can be quantified in economics, and everything can be resolved in economics. Whether you're Neil deGrasse Tyson, you're Karl Marx, or you're Milton Friedman, once you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And look, it's totally understandable that we get stuck here. It's totally understandable that we make this mistake. Because closing one eye really has been extremely beneficial. It really has brought about amazing advances that have taken us to the moon, cured serious diseases, and raised the standard of living for billions of people. But the problem is that it is so beneficial that it's easy for us to forget that there's actually a cost for doing this. There is a cost for living your life with only one eye open. You see, when everybody has been trained to do this, when this is part of your job, when this is part of your studies in school, when this is a part of almost everything that you do, you start to forget that the view of the world that you now have was artificially manufactured to produce a particular benefit. When you close your eye to the metaphysical, when you close your eye to the emotional, when you close your eye to the things that cannot be quantified through economics or through science, but are still just as real as anything else in this world, it costs you something. Now, generally, we're willing to make that trade-off in the short term in order to reap the benefit of science or economics or whatever lens we're using. In fact, when we see the benefits of that lens, we will often start to shape our own perceptions in order to increase those benefits, but after a long enough time, we start to become reliant on peering through that lens. That lens, that worldview, that system, that ideology has proven so effective at resolving problems, has proven so effective at improving our situation, that we have invested a large amount of ourselves in optimizing the use of that ideology, that system, that lens. And we've gotten so good at using it that that is the only thing that we ever want to use for any problem. In fact, we start to forget that there are other lenses at all, that we ever closed our eyes to other things in order to focus on this particular trick, on this particular system. And we start working to preserve the worldview created by this lens, even when it fails us, even when it proves to be insufficient to the task. At this point, we are now serving the lens and treating it as an end unto itself, instead of a tool that it was created to be, one that is meant to serve our ends, our needs. And as successive generations in our culture are brought up to only focus through this lens, to only use this particular type of thinking, they are basically born half blind. They're taught from a young age that they must close one eye and peer only through this lens of ideology, and that they must never look back. And this is why so many of us find modernity distressing, because it's conditioned where most have forgotten how to open both eyes, or that there was ever even one eye that was closed. Almost everybody at this point is serving some form of ideology. Almost everyone is dedicated to one specific practice or system, and so for many, it is only a question of which one of these lenses you will serve. Now, obviously, on this channel, I have a worldview that I think is very useful. Many people call it neo-reactionary thinking in our Rex, and I do find it to be extremely useful when we are analyzing politics. But so often people will try to take this system and apply it to things that it was never meant to analyze. People will ask things like, what is the neo-reactionary line on dating? What is the neo-reactionary line on entertainment? What is the neo-reactionary line on art? And the answer is, it shouldn't have one. We are obsessed with turning everything into a universal system. We are obsessed with applying these ideologies to everything to turn them into a totalizing system that helps us completely understand and optimize every aspect of reality. But that doesn't happen, nor should it. The world is always going to be a mysterious place. The world is always going to be full of randomness, things beyond yourself that you can't explain. And trust me, you want it that way. You want this to be the world that you live in. You do not want to squeeze every ounce of magic and mystery out of existence. That is horrible. And as powerful as these ideological lenses are, I think we need to learn to escape the trap of serving these lenses and remember that they were created to serve us. We need to be able to remember that these things are there to bring about the best for us and our children and our families and our communities. They are not ends unto themselves. And I think that if we are people who are in service to the good and the beautiful and the true, rather than to some kind of ideological lens, to some kind of universal and totalizing system, I think we will then stand out among our peers. If we are not trapped like those around us by the constraints of these systems, and we are allowed to think in ways that allow us to see things that others cannot see and solve problems that others cannot solve, then this will better ourselves, this will better our communities. This is a step on the road to becoming worthy, and it will cause others to take notice. Because in the land of the one-eyed man, the man with both eyes open is king. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now is a great time to do so. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or you'd like to donate to my Subscribestar like the amazing people who are on the screen right now, you can follow the links that are down in the description. In the description, you'll also find a link to the merch store if you'd like to support the channel that way. And you'll also find a link to my Rumble channel and to my Odyssey channel if you'd like to subscribe over there. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll talk to you next time.